coming up researches is the tutorial review. So before I go to how to write a review article, I would like to again go back to us, the students, especially MSc student and the PhD students, that usually come from a different background. We are coming from a different, let me say, a different research system. And we found ourselves here to do another different kind of research. Mostly, we meet our supervisors without a clear idea of what to do in our research. That is either the MSc thesis or the PhD. And the professor also doesn't have time to, in a way, explain the concepts to us. So what happens in most cases is he shares with us some 2-3 papers to read. After that, he left us on our own to think of the research problem and come up with how to solve it. I think this is the situation with most of us when we join the system. So by throwing 2 or 3 papers at you, he expects you to read more other papers. So mostly your first semester into the research work, or your first 3 to 4 months into the research work, is just working here and there, trying to understand the system, trying to find out what can I even do. So it's very crucial at this point that while you are running here and there, you have this idea that, okay, I want my literature review to be published. And therefore, any paper that I should lay my hands on it, I should be able to, include it in a way, not just to read it for my research sake, but to make it part of what I will use in my literature review. Because we found ourselves reading as much as 100 or even more papers. So those things that you've read to be able to do your research shouldn't just go like just for the sake of your thesis. No. As you are reading them, try to have it at the back of your mind that I need these papers also to be able to write a review article. So this will help you. This is a motivation now. Now, when you have this motivation in your mind, then the review process will be easy for you. I'm saying this because now we are going into how to write review articles, and I don't want us to get discouraged seeing how to write it, that, okay, I don't have the time for this. No, make it as part of what you'll be doing in your literature review. So to write literature review article requires a lot of effort. You have to search, you have to learn, and you have to write. So these processes keep going on, keep repeating themselves. You must be able to generate a new idea. This is very important because most of the areas that you want to write on, it is very likely that there are other review articles in that area. But how does your own look special, or how does it look different from them? It's your job to do that. So you should be able to look at it from a different angle, from a different perspective. If the other review are mostly on material or material development, then look at your own on the area of application, perhaps. Look at your own on the area of characterization, perhaps. Try to look at it from a different angle. Your ability to come up with this new idea is like 50% success rate to getting your review article easily published. Now, once you identify the idea, write it down and keep it in your mind anywhere you are, anytime, anything you are doing. That always reminds you that, okay, I have this in mind, and anything that you see that will help you in that direction, you'll keep it or you'll jot it down. So you are searching, you are learning, and you are writing continuously. At that time of your, you're trying to identify your research topic for your thesis. At that time, that 3 months, at least you should be doing something like this. Then at the same time, you should be searching the literature. So still searching. trying to update yourself in the literature. Then come up with a structure. Once you have the topic and you have a little papers, a little idea in your mind, come up with a structure. Put down the title. The title doesn't have to be the one you're going to use when publishing it, but have something like a title. Have it down. Then state the outline. Now, the outline is like the skeleton of your research article, a review article. And it is one of the things that will make the writing easy for you when you have an outline. I know where I want to go to. That is like an outline. Then it's easier for me to go there. But I'm just walking, but I don't know where I'm going to. Then it becomes difficult. So have an outline, like a skeleton, that the next thing to do is to start putting flesh on top of it. So when you get the title, write the outline. Those outline, again, does not necessarily have to be the same when you are publishing that article, but they will guide you. So establish an outline, and the review article will require an abstract. You can keep this until when you get to the conclusion. After you have finished writing it, then you can come back to the abstract. Again, you will need to write introduction, you need to write the main body, and that main body is where you build your own story, how you correlate those ideas, those points, how you make them into subsections, how you relate one point in one subsection to another point in another subsections. All this comes in the main body. Then you need to at least have some tables and figures. Mostly the tables, you generate them from the data you have in those papers, and the figure you adopt it from previous published articles. Then you draw your conclusion and make some recommendation in the form of a future outlook. Of course, these are the areas that a new researcher that wants to go into that area will pay much attention to. What are your future outlook? What do you presume will be happening in this area in the next 5 years, in the next 2 years, in the next 10 years? So all these are important in writing a review article. So I'm going to take the points one by one. Now to generate idea. For you to be able to generate this idea, you must be willing to read more. You have to think more, and you have to write more. Anything that comes, try to put it down. You really need to be able to come up with a new idea to be able to make your review article easily. So if you are able to come up with a topic which you think is novel, right? A nice topic, then the next thing is you have to set the literature to see how much material can you find. Could they be able to allow you put down a review article? Are they large enough to make a review article? So one of the search engine that I use is the SciFinder. The university has subscription to SciFinder, so I think I found it easy. So in the research topic, which is what I choose actually, you can decide to choose author, company, document identifier, or journal. But for writing a review article, the best thing is the research topic. Now that topic that you have in your mind, you put it down here and then go for searching. Search the engine. I give you an example here down. I search for mercury adsorption, for example. This is a common topic, mercury adsorption. And after searching, I could get as much as 2,470 references containing the term mercury adsorption together. And I could get as much as 14,000 papers that contain the concept of mercury adsorption. So this means at least I have this much paper from 2020 down to maybe 1990, or down to the first paper that is published, available in this search engine. So I just have to tick both of them, or tick the last one, because definitely the last one contains even the first one. So when I tick it, it will take me to this number of references. So I will have them all starting from the latest one, 2020. So I have the chance to refine it. If I refine it, I can give a date. Okay, I want my review to be very recent. So I don't want to cover more than last 5 years. So I'll refine from 2015 to 2020. After refining, I'll click again, and it will give me, the number will decrease, of course. So it will give me maybe 500 or thereabout. I can refine again. Maybe the next refining is because this is going to contain all articles, including patents, including conference papers, everything. So I can decide to refine again that, okay, remove patent, okay, remove conference papers, I don't need them, only publications. And I will refine again. So this will keep minimizing the number. So after all this, I can come to print it or export it to MS Word or a PDF file or Excel sheet. So it will come out, it will give me a choice to choose whatever I want it to export, including the title, the abstract, etc., etc. So normally I choose the topic or the title as well as the abstract. So I'll transport this into Excel sheet. And once I have it in Excel sheet or in MS Word, then it becomes easy for me. Now I have my literature arranged from 2020 downward to 2015, for example. And it's become easy for me to arrange it in the manuscript, because the first thing is how you can connect the point. Now, a paper of 2020 is likely going to cite a paper of 2018 or 2017. So when you start with 2020, you are likely going to see another paper of 2018 that has a correlation with the research of 2020. So it's on you now to again put them into how related they are. I talked about subsections in the main body of the review. So from this abstract that you have, you will be able to group them into subsection based on some common identity or some common property, or based on the material, or based on the sensing that they are doing, or the application that they are doing. So in this case, you can be able to group them into 3 or 4 different subsections. Now, this will help you when it comes to writing. You have the references, you have subdivide them into different groups. So each group now will have a maximum of, for example, 50 papers to write about. And then it becomes easy for you. So you have done, once you have this and you are able to split them, you have done the big task of writing the review article. There are other search engines such as the Scholar Google, the Scopus Science Direct, IEEE Explore, etc. There are a lot of them. For me, I prefer the SciFinder because of that advantage. And for us in chemistry, you can as well go to the extent of even getting equations or reactions. So I just need the reactions. So you can decide to choose reactions, just reactions that appears this kind of mercury adsorptions, and it will give you only the reactions. So you have so many things to play around with, and for that reason, I just decided to go with this SciFinder. Now, the title, usually the title should be short and relevant. Your title is what will attract audience to the work, how you make it. And even at the beginning, before publishing it, that is what will attract the editor. Usually the editor doesn't have time to go through the whole of the review. But how the title attracts him is what will make him to take it to the next step, which is the review process. And there and then, you might be lucky to have it immediately published, or through some, at least here and there, back and forth, and finally have it published. But one of the important things is making your title very relevant and short. It has to be attractive, and it should be broad to generate traffic. Here, traffic means the people that will read it and often cite it. A general topic will be relevant to a lot of field, But if it is very specific, then it will be narrowed, and it is likely that the people that will cite it will be less. Then your abstract should also be short and precise. It should be very clear, and it should carry this desired message that you want to send to the audience about your review. Usually 300 words is enough to convey the message about your review article. Then the introduction. Your introduction should be able to draw attention to the person that is reading the review. You should be able to see where the situation is at the moment and where it is going to. When you're writing a review, or when you plan to write a review on, for example, catalyst for CO2 reduction, then it is important to be able to read some newsletters from key companies that deals with this kind of catalyst, key companies that deals with CO2 removal, key companies that, for example, or some environmental bodies that are dealing with removal of or campaigning about removal of CO2 from the atmosphere. Now, these their newsletters are also being read by experts in this field, the editor and the reviewers. So your ability to be able to talk about this in your introduction will tell or will send a message to the editor or the reviewer that, hey, this guy is really current in this field, he's up to date. For example, you might just decide to look into one of these newsletters where Honeywell, EOP, discuss about their new catalyst that they just discovered. And it was a wow, the catalyst has this, has that, has that. And then you just put it in your introduction that this area has a lot of success. In fact, recently, Honeywell, EOP, or ELF were able to come up with a catalyst that can do this much and this much. However, most of their work have been patented, so information cannot be easily abstracted from them. So we may have to look from other sources, from publications that are available. When you are saying this with references, definitely the editor or the reviewer will understand that this person is up to date in that field. So you must be able to draw attention, show some level of mastery. Yes, he has to see that this guy, because you are like a teacher that is trying to summarize a very big area to the students. So they need to have confidence in you that, yes, you really know this area, or you have some reasonable idea about this area. Then you also have to identify the need for the review. Okay, in the last 5 years, there is high advancement in the computational sciences or computational simulations, and therefore reactions have now been able to be more understood because of quantum calculations, this and that. So because of that reason, you feel like you need to come up with a review that is recent. Perhaps there are review before in that similar area, but in those days, there were no advent of this kind of simulations, this kind of calculations that could give a better understanding of material property relationship. So you're trying to tell them that, okay, my explanation about material property relationship now is definitely going to be different from those other ones of last 5-10 years, because they don't have the tools that are available now. So you are telling them the need for your review. Then reflect the novel content of the review. Yes, you have to be able to, your introduction should be able to tell at the end that what is new that you are adding in your review that is not in the other review papers. The main body, as I said, this is where you have to this is where you need to demonstrate your expertise and your experience and advisably, you should build on your strength. Yes, there are areas that you know that, okay, I can talk about this. Now, try to build on them. Don't go haphazard. Because usually, smart editors send review article to expert, to really expert in that field. So the expert that is in that field will immediately identify your mistake when you fumble. And there are some mistakes that they are not forgivable. He will never want to forgive that kind of mistake. He will say that this guy is not in this area and he lacks the strength or the ability to write a review. And automatically this kind of results in a rejection after the much effort. So try to build on your strength, because the person that is going to read it is definitely going to be an expert in that field. Then from what we have seen in your literature search, you should be able to classify them into subsections. Yes, you have a lot of papers. It is your duty to be able to know how to classify them. And at the beginning, you may not be able to classify them, but as you are writing them, because as I said earlier, you learn, or you search, you write, you learn, you search, you learn, you write. So keep writing. It will not be, it will not look nice at the beginning, but just keep writing, and your mind will be telling you that, okay, that paper that I read should be connected with this paper. Okay, this information should be connected with that one. So after writing and rewriting, you realize that you are going back and forth, deleting that, rewriting it, deleting this, writing it, changing this subsection to another subsection. So this is how we keep going. And that is why I have these figures that although you write a first draft and you redraft and revise, this process of draft and revise is continuous one. You have to keep doing this for a long time before you finally move to the edit and publish stage in the writing review article. So don't worry about, okay, how do I just classify them at the beginning? No, just keep writing. If you are really consistent and coherent in what you are doing, the information you are getting, the learning that you are doing will give you ways. Okay, now I have to group them based on this, I have to group them based on that. And then ensure smooth flow of ideas. Yes. So after you have successfully divide them into subsections, then the way you are discussing them, it should be smooth. It doesn't have to, it should not be haphazard. One point in one side, the other point. No, there should be flow of point, flow of ideas, flow of techniques. This will make the reader enjoy the review while he's reading it. And avoid detailed experimental procedures. Yes, detailed experimental procedures gives headache. So when a reviewer or your audience, in fact, before coming to the audience, when a reviewer is reading and he's subjected to going through experimental procedures, so he'll find it very difficult to link up the point. And a tough person will just recommend rejection, outright rejection. So stay away from detailed experimental procedure. The points that you are going to make it in one sentence that has to do with anything experimental. Then tables and figures. We usually put tables in a review because the tables allow us or give us chance to easy comparison. You can easily compare a lot of material, their properties or their applications in one table. So one table can address a whole section or a whole subsection. And then it becomes easy for a lazy reader to comprehend without going through the English. And the figures also the figures give a schematic representation of the concept you are trying to explain. And I remember one review and where the editor was saying that the review is full of theory without figures to really demonstrate or give a feeling of what the statement is saying. So the person that is reading it will not be able to visualize the information you are trying to tell him. But with a figure beside him, it makes life very easy for him to capture the point that you are trying to make. So try as much as possible when writing a review to include as much relevant figures as possible. And the good thing is that most of these figures are not going to be done by you. You're just going to adopt them from published articles. So just look at those articles that you're trying to explain their concept or summarize their concept. Then you just copy their figures as well, and you adopt it and get the copyright of that figure from the journal. So that means most journals, unless they are open access, have their images, have copyright for their images. So you need to take permission before you go ahead to use their figures. You may use it before submission, but once it is accepted for publication, the editor will not want to publish it unless you have submitted to him your copyright. That is the permission granted to you by the respective journals. Now, these are some of the some examples of how we get this copyright. For example, if you want to get permission for an ACS paper, American Chemical Society, so any paper from ACS publication, any paper, so all the journals inside ACS will have this similar pattern. So just come down to Rights and Permissions and click on it, and it will take you to another page where you will see some, they will guide you on how to get the copyright. You keep filling some informations, and finally the certificate will show up, giving you granting you the permission to use it. In several publications as well, there is get right and content. So from this get right and content, you can easily get the permission to use any. Of course, in this, when you go inside, you will see they will ask you which image you want from which journal. You want to use it for what review article or for what application, and you want to use it as figure number what. So all those informations will be asked, and you are supposed to fill them in the right way. Then they will give you also a certificate giving you access to that particular image or figure. And again, if you are using RSC, Royal Society of Chemistry, you see their request permission somewhere here on the request permission. So different publishers have different ways of accessing the copyright for a particular figure. And at least these three are the ones that are common. That is the ACS, the Elsevier, and the RSC. So from here you can get, at least you can be able to find the other ones. So the conclusion and the future outlook. So it should be short and precise concluding remarks. You should be able to highlight the important points that you have raised in the body of your review article. And you have to make sure that they achieved the objective you have mentioned in the introduction, towards the end of the introduction, that this review article is aimed at doing this and this and this. You should ensure that you have clearly stated that you have achieved that objective in your conclusion. Then you should be able to give a future direction. Of course, that is what a lot of researchers want when they pick a review article. They want to see that, okay, what is the next thing in this area of research? How can I, quickly move into this area? So that will be clear to them from the future direction. So then you also give recommendations with respect to what should be done. So where and how to submit review article? So that is journal selection. So since you want to have a lot of citations for your review, then your topic or your title should be relevant to a particular journal. When selecting your journal, ensure that that journal has something relevant to the work that you did. Otherwise, you can do a very nice review article, and you submit it to a journal, and they will accept it quickly and publish it, but it will stay for 1 year or 2 years without having one citation, because that journal is not for that kind of review. Somebody did a review, a very nice review in corrosion science, and he ended up publishing it in Arabian Journal of Science and Technology, I think, KFUPN. I'm not saying that the journal is bad, but the journal looks more of a general journal, not a corrosion science journal. So even though our corrosion guys might use his information, evident from the view, but they will not want to cite it because that journal is not corrosion journal. So they may not want to cite the paper. So relevance is very important. Then impact factor. Aim for high impact factor. Yes, it's possible. Aim for high impact factor, and if it doesn't work, slowly come down. But at the same time, pay attention to publication history. That is the time. Some journals will keep your paper for up to 6 months, some for 1 year. Then remember that you are writing a review article, and every day, 2 or 3 papers related to that particular area are popping out. They are being published. So if your paper stays for 1 or 2 months without publishing, it means you have to update it again because there are more literature out there. So that means you have to be conscious of the time so that they don't draw you back again to sitting down and writing. So some journals are strictly by invitation. Yeah, most of these high journals, Chemical Review, Chemical Society Review, you don't just submit like that. It is strictly by invitation. So they look at your profile and they see that, okay, this guy is an authority in this area, and then they invite you to put down a review. However, you can write a letter to the editors, including your CV, that yes, you did not invite me, but I feel I can contribute in this area, and this is my outline, or this is my introduction. And you send it to them. The editors will reply you, most likely they will reply you, and they will tell you whether they feel that, okay, you can go ahead and submit, or no, this is outside our scope, or no, we are not interested whatsoever. So this is another way on how to submit. And in this case, I will tell you that I find this invitation or this letter to editors very important to me. Some time ago, while I was submitting a review article, we first contacted the editor, and the editor replied us that, okay, the idea is good, the outline is good, but they are not working in that area now. So they have shifted focus into more of biological systems. So, however, his friend in this particular journal will be able to help. So he suggested another journal of which his friend is an editor, and most likely they have spoken behind those without our knowledge. So he said we should talk to the guy, and we talked to the guy. The guy said, okay, yeah, his friend has spoken to him about it. We can, and that's how we submitted it, and it got published after a serious review process. So the challenges in publishing, yes, serious review process is one of the challenges. But first, when writing, you have to be consistent. You have to be patient and never give up. Writing a review, as I said, is like trying to summarize a lecture note for students. A whole book that is maybe 100 pages, you want to make it into just 10 or 20 PowerPoints that you give to the student. So you need to be really patient to be able to do that. You have to be consistent. The advantage of being consistent is when you start writing review article, the ideas are fresh in your mind. By the time you skip it for 1 or 2 days, whatever you have written might have escaped your mind. You have forgotten about it. So when you come back to continue, you may likely spend 1 week to regain the momentum that you had before, to come back to the real information that you had before, to be able to continue. So the next 1 week that you will spend will not be on adding more to the work, but on refreshing your mind on, okay, where did I stop? What have I achieved? So advisably, if you are willing to start writing a review, Start it and don't stop until you finish it. So once you start, make sure that every day you do it until you finish it. So you have to be consistent and never give up. Don't stop at the middle because it's frustrating sometimes. You feel like, let me throw it away. No, never give up. And likely to have rejections, of course, especially you are not expert in the field or your supervisor is not really strong in the field. You might get a lot of rejections, but it's part of us now. Rejection is part of the system. When you get rejection, have a deep breath, relax for a moment, and find another journal again. Don't keep the paper. Find another journal and submit again. If they give you some comment, address it and submit it again. But one thing again I discovered about this rejection is once you receive 1 or 2 rejections from top journals, just hold back for a moment. Sit for one day to identify all the journals that you know that can accept that work or that the work is relevant to them. Abstract their editors' emails and compose a very nice email address and send it individually to all those editors, giving them insight into what you did and telling them that you want to publish it in their journal. It is very likely that all of them will reply you, or 75% will reply you. Those that reply you, you might have 2 or 3 that will give you go ahead, okay, submit. Now, these people that will give you go ahead to submit, they have saved you the stress of submitting and having rejection, submitting and having rejection. So now you are not submitting to anyone, but you are asking for permission first. Do it to all of them. If you have 3 that will ask you to go ahead and submit, yes, start with the first one that has the highest impact. If you receive a rejection, go to the next one. Because ideally, at the point of sending the email, you are in the process. You have not finished. So there's no hurry. They will not be waiting for you. So, and perhaps you have finished it. So you can start trying with the first one that gives you. And finally, if that one accepted you, you can also find a way of telling the other editors that, okay, find 1 or 2 reasons to tell them that, okay, I could not be able to submit again. Simple. But if you keep submitting like that, it will take you longer time. And as I said, every day you are likely to have 2 or 3 papers in that particular area of research. So lastly, you're really most likely gonna have challenging comments from editors and reviewers. Yeah, some of them will be highly depressing. Some of them you will rather cry than receiving those kind of comments. You know, a reviewer will tell you that all this thing that you have done, that you call a tutorial review or a simple review, is rather destructive or confusing to a beginner, and even irritating to an expert. So he's telling you that on both sides, it is not making sense. It is not helping a beginner, and it is not enticing to an expert in the field. And then if after making a lot of comment like that, he would recommend rejection. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that the little presentation is helpful to some more. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Jazakumullah khairan, Doctor. We really appreciate your time and also the effort you put. Really, we have benefited a lot from the presentation. And I believe through the question and answer session, we are going to benefit more, inshallah. So without wasting much time, now it is a session for asking questions, and then the presenter, inshallah, will respond. And hopefully we are going to close the whole session by 5 o'clock. So the floor is open.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Doctor, thank you very much for the presentation. This is Majid. I really enjoyed your presentation. I've learned a lot, inshallah. Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to ask some questions about the SciFinder. I mean, you said you like using that one very much. And then it helps you to... Please, can you hear me?
Yes, my brother, I'm hearing.
Yes. and it helps you to organize the papers you want to review.
Yes.
Please, let's say, can you demonstrate how you get all the articles grouped, and maybe how you get them saved to Word, or is it Excel that you talked about from SciFinder website? Yes. Can you demonstrate that?
Yeah, sure. So I will leave this screen and go to. I think I can do that, right?
Yes, I think you can share your.
Yeah. So let's say okay, what's this guy coming? Let's say I come to SciFinder. No, I don't need this one. Sorry. So this is what you likely see when you log into the SciFinder.
Yes, we can see your screen. Can you?
Okay. I thought I'm sharing. You are sharing screen, right? Okay, let me go back again and. Can you see, please?
Yes, please. Yeah.
All right. So this is what you will first see when you go to the SciFinder account, and I think everyone. A student has this account, or maybe you need to go to library to have it activated. So you can search by research topic, or by author name or the journal or whatsoever. But this is the best one, just by research topic. What topic do you think you have in mind that we can search for?
Oh, I mean, the topic you will say, I think, adsorption of mercury or something. You can say the same.
I said mercury adsorption. We don't want to tell us your own topic so that we will not.
I don't know.
All right. So, for example, here you see we have up to around 14,000. They give you based on the words that you put together. Now, mercury adsorption as coming out as one entity that is together always. You can have up to 2,470 articles like that. The mercury adsorption coming out as concept, you can have up to 14,000. So the mercury can be in the middle and the adsorption can be towards the end. They don't have to be together. So this one will definitely has the publication in this one. I think that you get my point.
Yes, ma'am.
You go to get references. So to give you all the references here, arranged in the latest from 2020 down. So you can scroll down, You see, this is first 20. If you want to get the next 20, you go to the next one. So we keep getting them. But as I said, it will give you both publications, both patents, like this one, ahead of print, very new, it is not even yet printed. That's why I like this SciFinder actually. Immediately a paper is accepted, you are likely to see it here, even before Google Scholar put it there. So you are likely to get updated information from SciFinder. So you can see all the papers here and many other ones. You have to keep going to next till you get the all of them. So now you can refine, as I said, based on the date. We want to check publication year. Okay, we want to choose a publication year. So we can decide to choose, for example, from 2020 to 2015. We can refine. Okay, there is an error. Okay, the smaller number will appear first before the larger one. Okay, so 2020. So you see, you will have all the papers here. Just for now, from 14,000, you can see how it comes down to 3,560. So we have minimized a lot of papers that are outside this range. So we want our own to be just for 5 years. You can again refine based on other factors that you want, the document type. As I said earlier, what do you want? You want to include patent, you want to include letters, history, whatever you want here, you can include it. And those that you don't want, you can remove them. Okay, so you want a biography, you want book, you want clinical trial, whatever, conference, dissertation, editorial. You just need journal and maybe review. Okay, let's choose letter also, letter to the editor. I think this will be enough. You don't need patent, you don't need preprint, you don't need report, you don't need. Let's just go with this one, then refine it again. So again, it comes down to 2,669. So you can do so many other refining based on whatever you decide to choose, language, authors, database. You can refine as much as you like. You can sort them by the author's name, by cited reference, by publication year, by title. I prefer the publication year, so from 2020 to 2015. So after this, you can come to export. To give you the chance to select what you want to export. Because there is a particular, actually, maximum number that you can export. You can, not all. So, for example, a range. Said we have up to 3,000. I think the maximum is around 1,000 or 2,000. Let's say from 1 to 2,000. If it cannot take more than that, it will tell us and then we'll change it. So what do you want to export? Citation, export manager, or whatsoever. Many other ones. I think this one is okay. Or portable document format, rich text. Here I prefer the rich text. That is, it should be like a Word file. You can also take a PDF if you like. So you can use the name that you like. This is on the date actually. Today is 24/10/2020, and the search numbers. So you can give it the name that you like. So that will come with it. Let's say, right?
Yes, please.
You just want the summary without the abstract. You just want the summary with partial abstract. You want the summary with full abstract. Actually, this is the one that I usually go for. The summary with the full abstract. Or you want to detail every information that they have about the paper. So you can ask them to include the tax history, the tag, the comment, whatsoever. I mean, this information is enough. If this range is too much, it will tell us and then we'll have to revise. You see, only 500 answers can be exported at a time. So we have to change this one to 1 to 500. Then we can export it. At the same time, if you want reactions, you can also go for reactions. Get reaction request cannot exceed 1,000. So let's see how we make it 1,000. How can we select 1,000 now?
Maybe reduce the number of views or something.
Is that? Okay. So let's open this one. Yeah, so all those things that we have just seen now will be here. So now you have it, thiol functionalized, whatever.
I think you have to share that screen because we can't see that screen.
Oh my God. So this is different from Microsoft Team, I think. So I don't know whether you can see it now.
Yes, please. We can see now.
Yeah. So now this is what you will see from the exports from the MS file that we exported. So all these papers, you'll see them here, and the information with the abstract. Now, this abstract is enough to guide you on how to rearrange your manuscript. Okay, with the date again, this is 2020. So you'll be able to say, okay, they have done polymass of intrinsic whatever microporosity. The details that you have from here and the next one will be able to let you rearrange them now into different, or sub-classify them into different fields. So you can see you will have as much information as you like, and this is just from 1. So that is 1 to 500. So you go to the next one from 501 to 1000, from 1001 to 1500, like that. So you will have document like this that when you sit down in a day or 2 or 3 days, you'll be able to classify them based on the work that is being done. That is what I said earlier, that you have to classify them based on the area that you see that, okay, this will easily fit in, or it will easily be published, either based on the material, based on the application, based on the characterizations, based on the treatment that is done to them. Similar reasons, you classify them. So then once you do that, then you just start writing. And sometimes some papers, just the introduction, the abstract is enough for you. You will have the information that you needed from them. In some cases, not in all cases.
Yeah, Doctor, please, the citations in review, does it matter? Maybe, let's say this paper, for instance, it has 0 citation. Does it matter whether you can include it, or it has to have a number of citations for you to be maybe credibility or something?
You mean the paper that you're gonna cite?
Yeah, no, let's say for instance, this paper we have over here, number 20, let's say it has 0 citation. So in your review, is it good to include it, or I mean, it's fine?
Of course, it's good to include it. What this 0 citing means is that nobody has cited it, and this is understandable. This is just 2020 paper, maybe September or November. So you don't expect it to have a citation immediately. At least it takes some time for people to see it and cite it. In fact, don't worry at all about the citation of the paper. In as much as it's relevant to what you want, just go for it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay, please, is there someone with another question?
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Olabinta Abdullah from Nigeria. Thank you thank you for the Dr. Tanimu for the wonderful presentation. I want to ask, what is the difference in terms of consideration? I mean, the research article and review article. For example, for faculties, when they want to count points, or maybe for promotion, what is the difference in consideration? Is there any discrepancies or difference in consideration? This one is a review article, this one is a research article, or it's just the same?
I don't know if Dr. Saeed Adekule is still around. Is Dr. Saeed please around? Madam Yahya.
Yes, doctor.
Please, is Dr. Saeed Adekule around?
Yeah, he's around.
Yeah, he's a faculty. I think this question should be entertained by him, I think. Before he shows off, let me just give you a little bit of my experience. In the ranking, in the promotion, what I know is they divide the publications, or they consider the publications based on points. You can have 2 points. You can have I think 1 point and 0.25 or 0.5, if I can recall. So if you are corresponding author or you are a first author, so you are likely going to get, I think, 1 point. If you appear in the paper in any place, but you are not the corresponding author or you are not the first author, then you are likely going to get, I think, 0.5 or 0.25. I cannot remember now. And then if it is a single author, you'll have, I think, 2 points. So this is what I know about papers. I don't know if I have not seen it. I have not, from what I've seen before, I didn't see them classifying a review paper in a different way from a research paper. But still in the promotion, you are required to write your total citations. I don't know how they value it, but there is a space for you to indicate your scopus citations. So in that place, the review helps a lot because usually it is in review that you can have quick citation numbers. I think this is just the advantage of review from my little experience of their grading system, of their promotion system here. Thank you, Madam Abdullah.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Is there someone with another question?
Yes, please.
Okay, Sheikh Amusa.
Yakumullah.
Okay, Fatah. Yeah.
Now, thank you very much, Doctor. I have two, and it is similar to what my previous guest asked before. One of them is there a difference between scholar citation and scopus citation? Which one has more ranking?
Okay, that's one question, right?
Yes, sir. And the second question is, how do we avoid box citation in a particular paper? Like, for instance, box citation.
Okay.
For instance, I said the importance of catalyst is so then I want to take as my reference. Is that considered as box citation, or it has a limit to how many reference I can put in a particular claim?
Okay, I will start with this last one, actually. As you know, I'm just a young researcher. I'm just coming up. So my experience may be very shallow, but from my little experience, journals don't really look into how many papers you put there when you are citing 3, 4, 5, 6. They mostly don't pay attention to it. But for your own integrity, for your own integrity, when you write a paper and you indicate that just one statement, you have consulted 5, 6 papers, and this thing is not like you are trying to explain one core science, then it means something else. Mostly 2 is enough. This is my own personal understanding. Again, if you look at top researchers, top papers from ACS, maybe the JABS, you will realize that they don't even like citing too many people. You understand? Because like when you cite too many people, you are saying that everything is from them. You just hear it from them. Something has to come from your head too. So some will just cite maximum of 20-something or even less. If you check some Nature papers, they don't have up to 20 citations. You understand? So sometimes it's good you minimize it. At least 40 citations is okay for a research paper. Let the other explanation come from your own self. You're also an authority, by the way, since you are publishing in that particular area. So some of the explanation should be your own understanding of science.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Sorry, there is one question again that he asked about Google Scholar and Scopus. Yeah, Google Scholar is like general. Is not like how do I'm looking at how, like email address. You have Yahoo email, you have Gmail, and then KFUPM has its own KFUPM email, which is specific to it. So Scopus is more specific and is considered, it is much valued because it is related, somehow linked to the journals. So like they are like specific to the journals. But Google Scholar is just open, it's an independent entity. So Google Scholar can include citation from any other source. So citation from non-ISI journals, you will find them in Google Scholar. Citation from website, from wherever, you see them in Google Scholar. But this is not the case in Scopus. Usually Scopus cites papers from ISI, or they include papers from ISI. And that's the reason why when you check your Scopus citation and your Google Scholar citation, you discover that always your Scopus is lower than your Google Scholar, because they kick a lot of citations that are not ISI. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Inshallah, we have the community leader. He's going to contribute with regards to the previous question. Welcome, Doctor. Dr. Adam. Yeah.
Bismillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum. So, Jazakallah khairan, Malam, for the very wonderful presentation. I follow with very keen interest. That's very wonderful delivery. We appreciate that. And also thank you also to all the participants, and appreciate also the organizers. So we hope this kind of thing keep coming up, inshallah, in our community. So, inshallah, briefly, because of time, I just want to add little to what my brother Doctor earlier mentioned regarding the issue of how do they calculate points, and is there any discrimination against review paper compared to research paper? Briefly, it depends on university. So I've had cases whereby I heard of few universities trying not to recognize review paper as a full paper compared to research paper. But this is very rare, very, very rare. Because in reality, some universities actually promote and encourage people to have review paper, because review paper do get more citation compared to research paper. So this is why university, they encourage research. Is going to be 1 point as a single author. Hello, I hope you are hearing me.
Yeah, we are hearing you.
Okay, yeah. So as a single author, you get 1 point. So if you have two authors, then each of you will get 0.5, 0.5. However, if it is more than two authors, the first author will get 0.5, and every other member of the team will get 0.25. So based on my experience so far, this is, I think, what the system used for the promotion, wallahu alam. So, however, there might be little variation from university to university, but based on what I'm very much conversant with Imam Abdurrahman University, yeah, that is the Imam University, this is what they use. Yeah. So, hope that had the clarification sought by the brother. Jazakumullah khairan. Barakallahu feekum.
Jazakallah khair, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the contribution, Doctor. Inshallah, we just have 2 minutes. But before the 2 minutes, I just want to mention something that, for instance, as a graduate student or a faculty, it is really important that one should look into writing a review in very short time to come, maybe through collaboration with even our brothers back home, that maybe they don't have access to a lot of these literatures, then maybe you can share the work and then you can do it in a very wonderful way. And referencing softwares like Mendeley or EndNote or others, they allow to have a shared account where we have all the articles downloaded in that very folder, which can be shared among the users. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any question? Do you have any other question? We have 1 minute, inshallah. Doctor, many have requested that we should have the slide if it is possible.
Sure.
Okay, so inshallah, it will be sent to the respective participants, inshallah, through which emails they have registered. Yeah, thank you very much, and may Allah reward you abundantly, and may He make this very session very beneficial to us, and also to be something that will inspire us to write more and more reviews, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anna. Thank you.
وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. We thank everyone and thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.